Winning in Among Us can be hard, especially if you're new to the game, but if you know a certain few tricks, you won't believe how easy it is to dump on your teammates. Like, you'd think most players would know by now on how to tell if someone's looking at you through a security cam. Or how about a secret trick that makes players easily win 99% of the time? These are 15 OP Among Us tips and tricks. Welcome back to another Top 5 Gaming 2 video. If you haven't become an OG to our second channel, hit the sub button to earn yourself a gamer cookie. But alright, let's jump into number 15, the security camera tip. Alright, have you ever been an imposter in Among Us, followed your target through a hallway, and killed them stealthily just to have an emergency meeting pop up a minute later? It's pretty annoying. It always makes you lose the game instantly. So, what can you do to make sure that people watching on cameras aren't about to bust you for murder? Well, for all you sneaky imposters out there, make sure to pay attention to the cameras on the walls. If someone is sat in security watching them, they will begin to blink with a red light. You wouldn't believe how helpful it is to know whether to kill someone or to use it to your advantage to know when you need to look like a normal crewmate. And yeah, I don't think I need to say this, but just make sure you aren't there when someone eventually does check cams. Alright, but let's go from being an imposter to catching one with number 14, fake tasks. When you're a crewmate, you've always got to be on the lookout for people acting strange, especially when they think they're alone. One of the imposters' jobs is to pretend they're doing tasks when in reality, they're just standing there. So how do you tell if someone is faking a task or not? A lot of tryhards tend to stare at the taskbar and wait for it to go up after someone completes a task. But if the taskbar is disabled, there are other ways to tell. On certain tasks, a visual element is involved, like scanning in medbay, shooting garbage, and doing the asteroids task. You could also tell if someone is faking a task if they stand there until you leave the room, or if they keep moving around the same spot. Just make sure you're confident they're actually faking the task. We don't want you to randomly accuse crewmates now. But when in doubt, always vote green. Moving on to number 13, we have distant kills. If you're lucky enough to get the imposter role, this next tip is pretty important to think about. When you see a target or an easy kill while the lights are off, always make sure that you're actually in range to kill them. Every second counts, and those few seconds you spend getting closer might actually let someone walk into the room. So, it's important to know that you can kill anyone in the vicinity with a red outline around their character. The second you see the outline, you can kill them. So even if you are quite far away from the target, you could still get a good kill from a distance. Make sure to keep it in mind the next time you can't afford to stare at the kill button lighting up. But moving on to number 12, we have the admin strat. So we've just given you some pretty good tips for both imposter games and crewmate rounds, but this next trick is something that not only everyone overlooks, but it's also extremely useful to both imposters and crewmates. Long story short, just be sure to use the map inside admin often. A lot of people overlook it as useless because it doesn't show you what's going on inside the rooms like security cams do. However, there are some great ways to use the admin map. For example, if you're watching and suddenly a player goes from one end of the map to the other, you know they have vented and it gives you intel on where they are right now. Really helpful for crewmates, but the admin map is also useful to imposters who can just go in there and check the map to see if anyone is alone and available for an easy kill. So yeah, make sure to use it when you can. Not just that, but also take advantage of number 11, the vital self-report trick. So there is a unique ability exclusive to the Polis map which people who don't play it often might not know about. If you head to the office on Polis, you can find a computer which displays the vitals of every player in the game. This is an essential tool to use, not only because it tells you if anyone is dead, but because you could watch it to catch an imposter in the act. If you're stalking the vitals computer and someone suddenly drops dead, it's bad, right? But then if their body is reported almost immediately, you could almost always tell that it's a self-report. It's a pretty sneaky way to catch an imposter off guard, and the lobby is probably going to spam 200 IQ in the chat when you win the game for them. Moving on to number 10, we have the card swipe first try trick. Alright, if you're like me, you probably head over to admin dreading it, knowing that that darn swipe card task is waiting for you inside. I mean, if Mr. Beast can't do it, what hope do you have?
They're gonna think I'm an imposter because I can't do it.
Mr. Beast is on card swipe for mighty long.
How do you do this? How?
Okay, Jimmy?
Dude, how do you do this card swipe? I can't do it.
Yeah.
Now, most people like Jimmy end up trying to do it by judging the speed. But what if there was a way that everyone could do it first try without Dream accusing them? It's your lucky day because the next time you find yourself with the task in front of you, just move the card left to right repeatedly and somehow it does it first try. No more wasting time on it and getting accused of faking the task. Dream. And if you want to save more time, our next tip is all about number 9, leaving the table early. So there's a way to save a ton of time when joining a game, as well by skipping animations you didn't even know were skippable. For mobile players, you could press on the chat message as soon as the Be Quiet screen pops up, and it just lets you skip the entire first cutscene and get a head start on everyone else in the game. For PC players, you could do the same thing, but instead, you just have to hold a direction key during the cutscene and your character will move there before everyone else. These two tips are going to be crucial for both imposters and crewmates for getting a head start on other players. It gives you a huge advantage and is pretty fun, but something that isn't very fun for everyone, however, is number 8, stack killing. Alright, so you may have heard of the term stack kill before on your endeavors around the Among Us maps, and if you don't know what it means, or you haven't even heard of it at all, we're here to show you one of the most OP imposter strategies out there right now. More often than not, as imposter, you will find a crowd of crewmates either doing the same task or fixing a sabotaged area. When they all clump together to make a large crowd, just simply walk into the group and kill someone. There's so many people there that no one will know who got the kill, and there's a great chance you get off scot-free. And that, my friends, is a stack kill, but it's mostly for chaotic imposters. If you consider yourself smart and a stealthy killer, this next tip is for you. Number 7, the dead body distraction. As an imposter, it's pretty important that you should have control of the situation at every available moment. If the opportunity is there, take it, but you should also be very careful at the same time. Because of this, a great strategy for stealthy imposters is combining sabotaging and murdering. So basically, if you murder someone on one side of the map, you should either sabotage before or immediately after to draw everyone away from the body. Just make sure you're sabotaging something on the other side of the map. You don't want to summon the entire lobby on you. But if you're looking for more crewmate tips though, we think you'll really appreciate this next tip. Number 6, empty garbage instantly. Alright, you know how to swipe cards first try and leave the table early, but we got an extra time saver for you. If you hate how long it takes to empty the garbage, then there's a simple trick to make the process much more efficient. When you click on the task to empty the garbage, don't waste any time and just go straight for the lever. If you pull the lever just before the garbage or leaves touch the bottom of the chute, then they will fall straight through without piling up and wasting your time. It might not exactly help you with saving you from death, but it'll definitely make the task feel a little less tedious, and who knows, maybe it gives you that second to run away. But if you want a task tip that will save you from death, make sure to stick around for number 5, the shield strat. Over at the Scale, the most iconic of the 3 Among Us maps, you've probably gone to do the task at Shields and found yourself getting murdered by a random imposter out for blood. Sorry, this just happens to me every game. Okay, so how do you do this task without backing yourself into a corner? Well, there's a trick you could do by simply standing on the railing next to Shields. You get just about close enough to do the task in the middle of the hallway out of harm's reach. It'll definitely save you from getting murdered at least a few times, and speaking of tasks on the Scale, the most boring task is probably that of aligning the engines. Number 4, aligning the engines easier. When you align the engines in the Scaled, it can get tedious. You have to head to the upper engine, align it, and then go all the way down to the lower engine and do the same thing. However, this hidden trick will let you do the entire task in just one step, avoiding the whole journey down the reactor corridor in the first place, and that's like murder central. So all you have to do is complete the first engine as usual, but instead of aligning it, just hold the line in the center and then tap the lever once just before the task closes itself. This should actually make the game complete both steps for you, and it's pretty awesome. It's also very similar to the next tip, which is number 3, the navigation tip. Over at Navigation on the Scaled, one of the tasks involved dragging a cursor in the middle of the screen and aligning it with the crosshair. It's not exactly the world's hardest thing to do, but you can shave a few seconds off the task by simply tapping in the middle of the screen rather than dragging the cursor across the task menu. It's a very simple but sometimes overlooked tip, and you should definitely keep it in mind every time you head to Nav from now on. Coming in at number 2, we have cheat sheets. One of the most effective ways to get better at Among Us is probably one of the more obvious ones out there. It's not just practice that makes perfect, but learning as well. And I mean, I can tell you want to learn all the different kinds of tricks simply because you're watching this video. So what's a great way to learn more? Learning hitting tricks gives you a massive advantage, but so does looking at cheat sheet maps and remembering where every vent can go on the map. Every map has a different layout, so adapting and learning all of them is the key to success. Keep in mind, Among Us is an information game. But yeah, that's a little obvious, so something that isn't, our final trick, here's something that'll make you a very devious player. Number 1, how to have no name. So there's a way to not have a name in Among Us, and it can be disastrous to the other players if you end up being the imposter. Names in Among Us float above your head, meaning someone could see your name through a closed door or just spot it as you leave a room. Not having a name can really help you in a lot of situations. And all you have to do is Google the Hangle filler and it'll give you a Unicode character. Then you can copy and paste it into the character name bar in the Among Us menu. Now you have an invisible name and can get away with way more than you would have before. Now unfortunately this only works on mobile, so Android and iOS players, it's your lucky day. But that's all for now. Make sure to hit the like button for better chances at getting Imposter. Thanks for watching, this has been Tommy. Make sure you're subscribed to the second channel. Keep it here on T5G2.